Hey, welcome back. Um, Now we're doing something a little different than mean, median, mode, range. We're still going to be looking at those. Those are foundational things that we needed in order to start working with some graphic organizers. So the first one we're going to learn about is they are called box plots. So a box plot is just a graphic organizer that allows you to see how the data is spread out. So is all the data really close together, very similar? Is it, spread out a long ways along a number line? You use a number line to put the data on so we can look at it and interpret and analyze it and find out what the data is telling us. So with the box plot, I have the top example up here being some test scores. These are imaginary. Wouldn't reveal your test scores, don't worry. But what I'm going to do is look and see, so for these students here, how did they do with their tests in comparison with one another? So what were the tests like? Were they all pretty much the same? Were they very different? How are they spread out? So that's what a box plot will show us. Box plots, by the way, in our curriculum, in the textbook, would be Module 16, Lesson 3. So this is getting near the end of our 6th grade benchmarks that we need to cover. And this is what it looks like. So my test scores I have are in black up here to begin with. Just listed up here that we had a 78 C plus, 84 B, 90 A, 88 B plus, 96 A, 79 C plus, and a 100 A. Way to go. And what I did, and this is so important, you will mess up on the quiz if you don't remember that you've got to put these numbers in least to greatest order. Box plots is really just range and mainly median. It's all about the median, the middle. We're going to just be literally not doing any averaging unless there's two numbers in the middle. We need to find the middle of that. But really, it's all about the median and the range, okay? Because we're looking at the spread and where's the middle of it, and we're going to break it up into what are called quarters, or we call them quartiles. So just remember, there are 4 quarters in a dollar. Right? So we're going to take this data, put it on a number line, and break it down into 4 equal size sections and see where the data, how it's spread out from one another. All right, so the first thing you want to do is really easy. You want to find the least and the greatest value. So when I have it in least to greatest order, which again, don't forget to do that. Put it in order, please. I do also want to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All right, 7 numbers, an odd number of numbers. I'll come back to that in just a second. So the minimum is 78. That was the lowest test score. And the maximum score was a 100. So way to go on that one. Okay, so what we're going to do is first we will, I wanted to talk about the odd number of numbers. Because there's an odd number of numbers, it's going to make it a little bit easier knowing that my median, there's only one number sitting right there in the middle, and that is, sorry, my dog's tail's walking by. He's walking by right here. She is. But what we're going to do is do our cross out after we've already determined, which we have, that the least and the greatest are 78 and 100. You just literally need to find the median, okay, the middle. So when I cross out least, greatest, least, greatest, least, greatest, perfect. It appears that 88 is the median. It's the middle number. That is going to be very important in our box plot. That will go right in the middle of the box. Okay, so already we found the least, we found the greatest, and we found the middle. It's not too hard yet, right? The hardest part, and it's not hard, but the trickiest part of a box plot are called the quartiles, okay? So the median is really kind of like quartile number 2. That is the 50% of the data, right, is going to be below that, and 50% of the data is going to be above that. All right, so what we're looking for is, what is the median of the first half of the data? Does that make sense? So we're going to break it into the 25th percentile. So what we're going to do is look from 78 to 88, what's in the middle of that, according to not the number line, our data that falls on a number line. So what you want to do, now this is the tricky part, this is what I used to struggle with when I was first learning box plots, is you never really truly want to put the median in the data. Sadie, stop bumping my pillar that's holding the camera. All right, so I'm going to put parentheses and kind of show my focus is going to be on 78 to 84, because 88 is not going to be a part of my first half of my data. It's the median. The other half, what I'm going to look for in the third quartile or the 75th percentile of my data would be the other numbers to the right of the median from 90 to 100. So this is the work you're going to need to show in order to create a box plot so then you can analyze and interpret the data. So here on the first half of my data, I have 78, 79, 84. I set you up with a real nice easy one here to find the median middle of that first half, which is what the first quartile is. You would go least, greatest, and 79 is my first quartile. So that's where literally the beginning of my box is going to be built in just a second when I do it on the number line. All right, for my third quartile, the fifth thing I need in order to create my box plot, I would just do least to greatest after the median and look at 90's gone, 100's gone, 96 is my third quartile. These are the 5 values I need in order to create a box plot. Again, recapping: least, greatest, the median. Once I've got the median, I want the middle or median of the first half of the data, and then the median or the middle of the second half of the data. So I'm finding here the beginning, and then the 25th percentile, 50th percentile, 75th percentile, and the 100th percentile, the greatest. So that's how I'm breaking it up into quarters. All right, so here's how you build the box plot. There's 5 points, usually always, that goes in a box plot. The minimum, 78, so hovering above the number line. Don't actually put it on the number line, which, sorry, on your homework worksheet, it's kind of hard to fit it in there. It didn't give you a bunch of room. You'll see on my answer key, I really had to squeeze it in, so I apologize. Do the best you can on that with the practice. But the minimum here, 78, I put a dot up above there. The max, 100, put a dot up above my maximum of 100. Then from the data, the middle was 88, so I'm going to put a dot right up here on 88. And then I'm going to put my 2 what are called quartiles. So quartile number 1 is 79, so right here between 78 and 80, I want to put a dot right in the middle. And then 96 is, of course, right here above the number line, right where 96 is. All right, that's it. Those are my 5 points. Now all I do is whiskers go to the outside, box is in the middle. The median is is usually in the middle of the box. So around my first and third quartile, I draw a box and I connect it where the median is going to fall somewhere in there. Usually, it doesn't have to. Then the first and the fifth points, which are the minimum and maximum, I draw the whiskers. Some people call them box and whisker plots instead of just box plots. So I draw a little line segment here, here, and now it's time to sit back and analyze. You can probably pretty much guess what the test questions are going to ask you. What's the minimum? Sadie, settle. The minimum, the maximum, the middle, the median. They could ask about these quartiles. So half the data is going to be less than 88. Half the data is going to be greater than 88. You realize that because this is 25% of the data, that's crazy. Look at the spread here. A lot of this data on the low end, 78, 79, so close together, they are not spread out at all. They're so close. Whereas the whisker on the right end, from that 96 to 100, that other 25% of the data is, of course, a little more spread out than the low end. So you can kind of see what we're looking at. Notice there's a huge box, wide box. So this means that the data is spread out pretty big here with this middle 50% of the data. Does it make sense? From 25 to 75 is a difference of 50% of the data. So half the data is spread out really far there, but on the ends, they're really close together. So that's what you're looking for when you're doing a box plot. One thing I need to show you that I found a little bit frustrating at first when I was learning this This seemed easy to me, and I was like, I got it, I love it. And then they gave me an even number of numbers. So I'm going to show you without creating the whole box plot, just the 5 points that you really need. So for bowling scores here, I've got all these bowling scores. If you can't see it very well, 104, 85, 97, 101, 73, 104, back to doing good. And then I got tired and I went down to 86, and then my finger was hurting, and now I'm down to 75. So kind of struggled at the end. All right, now I have 8 numbers that I'm crunching. All right, so this is going to be a little tricky. First, don't forget, it's so important, put them in least to greatest order. Now, when I look at it, I've got my minimum, 73, no sweat. I got my max, 104, way to go, bowled well there. I actually did it twice, which is impressive. Not really, 104. Anyways, now, remember, you want to cross out and find the median. Notice there's an even number of numbers, so there's going to be 2 in the middle that I got to find the median of that. So, time's sake, going as fast as I can here. Least, greatest, least, greatest, least, greatest. 86 and 97. I did the work right down here for you, added those up, divided by the 2 numbers that were in the middle. It came out to be 91 and a half, okay, or 91.5. Okay, so that's my second quartile, also most commonly known as the median. Now, here's where it gets tricky. Remember, the median's not really going to be included when we're looking at the first quartile and the third quartile. But remember, the median is not actually one of my data points. It's in between 2 data points, right? So this is where, Sadie, stop shifting, okay? You're spreading around too much. Sorry about that, guys. Big lazy dog here, okay? What we're going to do now is we're going to try to include, we got to make sure this data is included in our first half and our second half, okay? So we're going to put our brackets around literally all the data is going to be in there because the median's not a part of it. So this least to greatest would be from 73 to 86, the first 4 numbers. And then the last 4 numbers, of course, from 97 to 104, the other 4 numbers. So remember, in the one above, with an odd number of numbers, the median did not go in either the left or the right half, the upper and lower, upper, parts of my data, okay? Sadie, settle. You're making this tough, girl. All right, sorry. And down here, there was no median in my exact data. I needed the middle of that, so I'm using all my data in the lower and upper half. So again, I'm going to hit that again. Watch this where I go least, greatest, and now what's between 75 and 85? I'm going to go ahead and tell you it's 80. Okay, so the quartile 1 is 80, and then right over here, least, greatest, 101 to 104. They're pretty close together. Won't be hard to find on the number line. Just count them out. 101, 102, 103, 104. Scratch out 101, 104. Guess what's right in the middle of 102 and 103? That's right, 102 and a half. Okay, so 102 and a half, or 102.5. So what I would do, I'm not going to for time's sake, is I have my 5 points on the number line. I put a dot above 73, dot above 80, dot above 91 and a half, a dot above 102 and a half, and a dot above 104. And then from there, I will build my box from 80, quartile 1, to 102 and a half, quartile 3. My middle dot, 91 and a half, is going to be somewhere in there, the median. And then I would do whiskers all the way from 80 back to 73, and from 102 and a half to 104. Hope that helps. Just let me know if you're having any questions. I can try to guide you through it, give you some extra practice. Don't forget, the curriculum's good if you want to be challenged. And they have a ton of different worksheets and videos you can watch and things like that too. Let me know. I'm here for you. Real quick, some jokes to end this quick session on box plots. Let's see. So here's a knock-knock joke. I used to never think they're really that funny, but this one's pretty good. So it says, knock, knock. Okay, who's there? Control freak. Okay, and they would say, Okay, now, you say control freak who? That was supposed to be like me interrupting you when you said control freak. But, okay. Maybe that didn't go off too well. All right, did you hear about the new restaurant called Karma? There's no menu. You just get what you deserve. Okay. All right. Let's see. Next one. Did you hear about the claustrophobic astronaut? He just needed a little space. Why do scientists trust atoms? Because they make up everything. And the last one, why are average things, I'm sorry, I didn't mean that. Where are average things manufactured? Of course, they would be manufactured or created in the satisfactory. Average things. Not mean, but like, okay, I ruined it. Have a good one.